got a little story for you about old JD. You know, the Fletcher's moonshiners. Howard and his brothers started making shine back Prohibition days, and then they kept on making it into the 40s. And so Dad and Gerald and Jim was around for all that, so they was always around still, you know, and they grew up down there at Greasy Creek, south of Washburn, and wasn't nothing down there. I mean, you couldn't hardly scratch out a living, you know. I mean, they either caught it, killed it, or grew it, or brewed it. Is the only way they survived down there in those hills and them hollers. And they made this shine and hauled it all the way to Joplin, Tulsa, and Springfield in a Model T. Now, I just can't imagine in a Model T traveling that far back then when them roads were nothing but a goat trail. So I'm sure that was pretty challenging. But this story's about Dad and the two boys back in the 40s. They were still making shine. So Dad was probably 13, Gerald 11, Jim's a few years younger. And anytime the revenuers would show up, the Fletchers usually got tipped off because they selling shine to local law enforcement, the judges and everybody else, or they were paying them off. Y'all know how all that works. It was the same back then. So Dad was real surprised. This old fancy black car coming rolling up. Feller stepped out, pinstripe suit, little cock hat, and they knew immediately it was a revenue. And they were just shocked, you know, that they didn't get tipped off. And so Pa and the brothers, my great uncles, were up there in the holler making shine. And that old revenue walked up there, looked at JD and said, "Howard Fletcher here, Pa?" He said, "Yep, sure is." He said, "Where's he at?" He said, "He's up there in that holler." He said, "How about taking me up there in that holler?" Dad looked at him and said, "No, can't do that." And hell, that old revenue, he opened his billfold, pulled out a $10 bill. Well, a $10 bill back there's no telling what it'd been worth, you know, in today's age. So he said, "How about for a $10 bill?" And JD said, "Yeah, I reckon I'd take you up there." And that old revenue just started for the holler, and JD said, "Whoa, where are you going?" And he said, "We're headed up that holler." And he said, "Aren't you gonna pay me?" And that old revenue looked back at JD and said, "I'll pay you when we get back." And old Dad looked at him, just old somber face, said, "You ain't a coming back." So I just about giggled my head off when, you know, Jim's relaying this story. And I said, "Oh, what did that revenue do?" He said he got in his car and left. So that's the way the Fletcher boys took care of the revenuers one day down there in Greasy Creek. I'm out, fellers. Gotta go.